Touch delay and welcome to the second session of the fourth chapter of class 11 biology. So now let us proceed with the phylum Annelida. This Annelida group of organism have the body surface which is marked out into segments or metameres, and that is why the phylum is called as Annelida. So Annelida in Latin means, that is, annulus means little rings. So some examples are Nereis, earthworm, and leech. So talking about its characteristic, the first one, where they are found. They are found in aquatic, that is marine as well as freshwater, or they can be terrestrial, they can be free living, and sometimes parasites. And the body is triploblastic, that is having ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm. And body is metamerically segmented, and they have a body cavity which is lined by mesoderm, that is their coelomate. And the level of organization, body organization, is organ system level of organization, and body is bilaterally symmetrical. And some of the aquatic organism or aquatic annelids like that of Nereis possess a parapodia which helps in swimming. So these are parapodia. Here they have a lateral appendage called as parapodia. This parapodia helps in swimming. And the type of circulatory system is closed type of circulatory system. So the blood flows into the flows in a tube. They are not released into the body cavity. They just flow through the tube, that is through the blood vessels. So that is closed circulatory system. Nereis are dioecious, that is male and female are separate. But in the case of earthworm and leeches, they are monoecious, that is they are hermaphrodite. Both the sex are present on same single individual. And the type of reproduction is sexual, by producing male gamete and female gamete and then fusing them. And talking about its neural system, the neural system in the case of Annelida, they consist of a pair of ganglia, and this pair of ganglia on the dorsal surface, it forms like that of a brain, and they are connected by lateral nerve here. They are connected by lateral nerve, and then these are connected to the ventral nerve cord. So they have a pair of central ganglia. They have a pair of a ganglia forming a brain, and these are connected to the ventral nerve cord through the lateral nerve. And talking about its movement and locomotion, it is facilitated by two kinds of muscles, that is longitudinal and circular muscle. So longitudinal muscles, suppose if this is a axis of the body here, this is a gut here, that is alimentary canal here. So the muscles here, these are the longitudinal muscles, and these are the circular muscle. So the contraction and relaxation of the circular and longitudinal muscles helps in the locomotion of the Annelida. And talking about the excretion and osmoregulation, they have a special structure called as nephridia. So these nephridia has a part which will collect the body fluid containing waste called as nephrostome, that is inside the body here, and this nephrostome leads into the tube, and this tube of course is surrounded by blood vessels, and then this tube finally let out towards the body surface pore called as nephridopore. So the waste collected in the nephrostome pass through the tubules, and whatever is required, they are absorbed back by the blood vessels, and finally the waste is let out of the body through the pore called as nephridopore. So they are nephridopore at each segments here. Now next is phylum Arthropoda. So these arthropoda have a jointed legs or jointed appendage. Arthros means joint, poda means appendage. So arthropoda. And this forms the largest phylum of animal kingdom. Over 2/3 of all named species on earth are arthropods, and the body is bilaterally symmetrical. As you can see, you can easily divide them into two equal halves only through a single plane. and they are triploplastic, segmented, coelomate, and organ system level of organization. The body is covered by exoskeleton made up of chitin. The type of circulatory system is open. So when the heart pumps the blood passes through the tube, and then they are let into a sinus, or that is a cavity, okay, where they come in direct contact with the tissues. The blood in this organism comes in direct contact with the tissues. Okay, so we call it as open type of circulatory system. And they have a sensory organ. They have a sensory organ like antenna, and then eyes. Eyes can be simple or compound, and then statocyst for balancing the body. And the organisms are usually dioecious, that is male and female are separate. Fertilization is internal, and they are mostly oviparous. Oviparous means egg-laying organism. And development can be direct or indirect, having a larval stages. Okay, and here you can see that they have a sensory organ here. This is antenna here, and the body is segmented, and they were divided into head, thorax, and abdomen. Okay, and they have a jointed appendage here, so called as arthropoda, and the whole body is covered by an exoskeleton made up of chitin. And talking about the respiration occurs through various structures like book lungs, or it can be gills in the case of aquatic organism, or it can be in the form of tracheal system. So in the case of tracheal system, it is composed of number of tubes here, okay, and then they have an outer opening called as spiracle. Okay, outer opening called as spiracle. So through this exchange of gas takes place, gas containing more of oxygen enters into it, and it passes all through the tube here and distribute to the diffuse into the tissue, and the gas containing more of carbon dioxide are released out again through spiracles. Excretion takes place through the Malpighian tubules. Okay, so these are the Malpighian tubules which are present inside the body here. Malpighian tubules, and then joins the intestine, and then they are released out along with the excretory waste are released out along with the undigested food. Next is phylum Mollusca. These phylum Mollusca consist of a soft-bodied organism, and since they are soft, they have a protective covering, shell. Okay, so most of them are shelled, but there are few without shell. Okay, and they form the second largest animal phylum. It can be terrestrial or it can be aquatic. So that is, again, it can be marine or freshwater. They have organ system level of organization. Body is bilaterally symmetrical, triploplastic, and coelomate. And they have a calcareous shell because they have a soft body and they need protection. And the body is unsegmented. Bodies are unsegmented, but they have a distinct head, muscular foot, and visceral hump. So here, head, okay, foot, head, foot, and the hump here you can see. And the soft and spongy layer of skin forms a mantle over the visceral hump. And the space between the hump and mantle is called mantle cavity. So here, this is a shell, and this is a visceral hump, and you can find this mantle, and mantle cavities are there, and then there are gills for respiration. Okay, so in the mantle cavity there's a gill, okay, it is for respiration here, and then in the mouth they have a radula. Okay, so the anterior head has a sensory tentacles, and the mouth contain a 5-leg grasping organ for feeding called as radula. Okay, so you can find radula here. Okay, so this is a example of mollusca. The whole body is divided into head, foot, and then visceral hump here, having all the visceral organ here, and the body is covered by shell here, and then in the head part there is a mouth and the radula which helps in feeding here, and then it forms a visceral hump. It is covered by a mantle, and in between there's a space called as mantle cavity, and here we'll find gills, and gills helps in respiration. And the organisms are usually dioecious. Male and female are separate, and they are viviparous with indirect development. They produce egg, and then they also produce larval stages, so indirect development. Now next is phylum Echinodermata. These Echinodermata have endoskeleton of calcareous ossicles. They have endoskeleton of calcareous ossicles, and hence the name Echinodermata, that is spiny body. And these are some examples, and the most common example we know is that of sea star or starfish. Okay, so the body here again, as you can see, it is radial symmetrical. See here, radial symmetrical. We can divide into two equal half through this angle, or through this angle, or through this angle. So you can find 5 different angles through which you can divide them into 2 equal half. So they are radial symmetrical, but the larval form are bilateral symmetrical. Okay, and these organisms are triploblastic, coelomate, and then they have a complete digestive or alimentary canal, having separate pore for entry and exit. Here you can see towards the upper side you can find anus, and towards the lower side there's a mouth. Okay, so they are all marine. Digestive system is complete, and excretory system is absent, and sexes are separate. There is separate male and female organism. Reproduction takes place by means of fission of gametes, that is, they are sexual. Fertilization usually occurs in the water body, so they are external, and development is indirect with free-swimming larvae. So one of the important distinct feature you find in this group is the presence of water vascular system. This water vascular system helps in locomotion, capture, and transport of food and respiration. Okay, so here you find these are the 5 arms in the starfish. So we have taken the example of starfish or the sea star. Okay, so 5 arms, and then there are a number of openings through which water enters, and there are water pressure which helps them to perform these functions such as locomotion, capture, and transport of food and respiration. So here let us look at this one, this pore called as metroporites. So water enters through the metroporites and then into the canal here you can find, and then it moves into the ring, that is a ring canal, and from the ring canal it moves into the radial canal, and from the radial canal it finally moves into 2 feet here. Okay, and so this canal are like a network of water pipe, and these are attached to the 2 feet, and this helps in the locomotion as well as transport and capture of food, and also they helps in respiration by bringing in water rich in oxygen. Okay, so that's all about Echinodermata. Okay, so all this group till now what we have discussed are non-chordates. This common feature is that they do not have notochord. So they form a non-chordate without any chordata. Okay, or can say notochord. Okay, that's all. So in the next class we shall talk about the remaining part of the animal kingdom. Thank you.